All right, it looks like I am live. So hopefully I get to see comments this time. A couple minutes early, so I'll give people a few minutes to join. Just gonna give it a couple more minutes. Okay, it looks like I see people on my phone, but of course not on my computer. So I apologize for that, but I'm just gonna give a couple more minutes to let people in before I do an intro. And this will be a pretty quick live, so I'm just gonna go over the new program and then of course answer any questions that you have, and we'll go from there. Hi Ronette, I'm so glad that you're here. And we've got Jennifer, Brandy, Angie, hello, hello. Of course, I don't have comments on my computer, but hey, it is what it is. All right. So I am super, super excited to talk about this program. It's kind of been in the works for a long time. And Angel and I will both be running the Astrology Partnership Program. So thank you so much, Angel, for all the hard work that you've done getting this started and developed. And I also want to give a shout out to Sarah and Cheyenne. I leaned on them quite a bit to learn about how they work with the tarot program and what has worked well, what hasn't worked well, and really help develop this. So it'll be a little bit different, but a lot of similar aspects as well, since that program is like a very well-oiled machine. All right. Sorry, I keep looking at my phone, just trying to check comments. And yes, please comment. I will periodically check for questions and things too. So this program is really on doing astrology readings. So we'll partner up and you'll be assigned another person in the program to do an actual reading. The reading is going to be relatively short. We'll probably have a little bit of a theme for each season, and I'll talk about that a little bit more too. But kind of looking for maybe like a 15-minute-ish read if you wanted to do audio, or you could type something up. But this program is all about readings. So that being said, you have to be ready to do an astrology reading. Beginners are absolutely welcome, but you need to know a little bit about how astrology works in order to do a reading, right? So that being said, in order to be in this program, you will have to pass a test. Now, I don't want anyone to be afraid of this test. It's something that is essentially an open book test. It's something you can look up, but you do have to basically have an understanding of these various aspects in astrology in order to pass. So the form is going to have a test called Know Thyself, and it will have some questions on it basically about your own chart, and you will need to be able to answer those questions about your own chart in there. Angel and I will go through, and as long as you're able to talk about it in a way that would reflect a reading, then you will pass the test. If you fail the test, you have a chance to retest every season. So no pressure, it's open book, but you do need to pass. Some of the reasons for this are essentially with astrology, it is a little bit of a harder thing to do. Using like a writing example, right? You can't write out a sentence if you don't know the basic words yet. Or you can't do algebra if you don't have, basic addition and multiplication skills. So this test ensures that you do have that. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about the test. Let me talk a little bit about the program and the seasons. So we're going to work within the astrology seasons to make this program happen. So each season will be the zodiac sign. So we'll start off the program now, which is Pisces, but it's really kind of gearing towards Aries. We'll open the test. And then we'll start our partners. We'll assign partners to each person in Taurus season. So it changes a little bit every month, but approximately about the 20th of each month, we'll switch over. So it'll be pretty fast paced. That means every month there is going to be a new assignment and you'll have a new partner and you'll have to do readings within that time. But again, they'll be relatively short readings. So I'm going to pause there and see if people have any questions so far. And good morning to everybody. Again, if you haven't heard, the comments are not working on my computer, so having to check on my phone. All right, well, I'm so excited that everyone is excited so far. And if you do have questions, drop them in and I will check periodically. So we'll open the form within either later today or tomorrow, and this will be the sign up and the test. It's going to be called the Know Thyself form, and it does align to kind of the idea of Aries, right? So Aries is the start of the zodiacal season, so it seems like a perfect time to start an astrology program. And also the theme for Aries is I am. So knowing yourself, knowing about who you are is a perfect way to, start working on this form. So there's a lot of correspondence there. So basically with the form, we talked about this, but it is a test and you do need to pass the test. It's open book. I have all of the information that you would need in previous lives, which have all been added to YouTube. You do not need to watch all of those, but it is recommended to have that knowledge or to have that knowledge from other sources. So if you're new to Unseen or you've never watched any of my astrology lives, that's completely fine, but you should have a basic understanding of these things. And that will be the first question in the test is, have you watched those lives? And if not, where have you found other astrology info? Again, it's not to be an expert, it's just to make sure that you do have some understanding of these things, and then you'll go into answering the questions about yourself. So that form will be open until April 20th. And you have a lot of time. You have a month to go through and essentially study for the test. You can journal your questions, type them in a Word doc, whatever, so you can just essentially copy and paste in the form. You're not expected to know these things off the top of your head, but you would need to be able to use your resources to answer the questions if you don't know them off the top of your head. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that relieves any potential anxiety about the test. If you have never done anything with astrology before, this might be a little hard, but if you have some basic understanding, it should be easy, or it should be pretty easy for you to find the answers. And again, you'll have until April 10th, so plenty of time to do that. There will be a secret word, and that will be on the form as well, and the word is ascendant. So I will mention that again. The secret word is ascendant. All right, so I'm going to pause for questions and check the chat. Angie mentioned that she's definitely going to come back and rewatch. Yeah, there's a lot of content. I did that for maybe a year. It was like a year-long program, so I think there's about 10 videos, probably about an hour each, so it's a lot of content. You have time. You have a month if you do want to watch all of those, but perhaps you would maybe just want to watch or spot check a few. It's really up to you. It's up to you to determine how much support and relearning you need to do to enter this program. So that's kind of part of the know thyself, right? Is knowing what support you need, knowing, what to do and things like that. Again, you don't have to pass this test with flying colors, but you do just need to have a basic understanding. And if you fail, we'll try to provide some feedback on that as well, and you'll get a chance the next month. So I do encourage you to try. Tammy asked, oh, sorry, I went in the wrong spot in the chat here. Okay, Tammy mentioned that she's excited to learn more. Yes, that is Winnie in the backgrounds. Brandy is a bit nervous and intimidated. Yeah, it's a little bit hard, but we're all, starting in the same kind of place. So yeah, you just have to understand the basics, use YouTube, use the resources I provided, use other resources that you may have. You should be able to do this with a little bit of effort. Tammy asked about an example reading. I don't really know how I could do that right now. And in the form, it's going to be a text form. So you would use your own chart and then type up, a few sentences about the question's answer. So if it says like, how does this show up in my chart? You would say, this shows up in my chart, blah, 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 and this is what it means. This is how I relate to it, something like that. So that would be kind of an example of the way to answer one of the questions. And then when we're doing the readings for each other, it's not going to be like a full chart read. Those often take 1 to 2 hours by a professional astrologer. That is way too much for a program like this. So we will have like a themed question. I don't know what it's going to be for Taurus season yet. That's when we'll have our first partnership. But potentially for Gemini is one I have thought about is, what are some dualities that show up in this chart? So that would be kind of an open-ended question that would be up to the reader to determine, looking at various dualities in their partner's chart. Taurus has a lot with like home and, earth energy, like the Empress energy. Venus has a lot of these things. So I might pull something like that. But again, I haven't determined, and me and Angel haven't determined what we're going to do for the Taurus season yet. But we'll have some kind of theme, and we'll probably start off, with a pretty easy one for everyone too. And then it's up to you if you want to do like a voice recording or a YouTube video or type it out. Those are things that you can decide that you want to do in the partnership. Rachel mentioned that she's a little bit intimidated and she wants to learn more about astrology, but she has no idea what a reading would look like. Hopefully that answers a little bit, but you basically are going to answer the question and then talk about that in the prompt. You could look at different astrologer readings online. I'm sure there's plenty of those to find. But essentially you're going to be talking about what you see in that chart and using astrological facts to back that up. So an astrology reading is not purely divinatory based, and that is why you have to pass a test. So whereas tarot, you can literally say like, this is what I see in the cards. This is what I see based on images and pictures that we all kind of already have an understanding of. But with astrology, you need to be able to say like, I see this planet in this house, and this is what that means to me. So you'd have to kind of know those basics, but practicing is often a way to learn them pretty quickly. And again, none of this needs to be memorized. I do not have them memorized. I have resources in front of me when I'm doing a read. It's an open book kind of test. So definitely use your resources, use your tools and develop those, right? So as you're studying, as you're doing readings, you can have basically like astrology grimoire or astrology cheat sheets, little notes that you would use when you're doing a reading. So that's kind of what I would encourage you to develop for yourself, so that you know what it is that you like when you're providing information and reads, and making sure that you have those resources there for you. Jennifer says she hopes she has enough knowledge to pass and she's excited. I'm so glad. And hi, Angel. Yes, it's definitely going to be a blast. Again, you do not need to be an expert. This is about learning and practicing, but you do just need to know the basics, or at least have an understanding of these basics. You're going to have a month plus to work on this for the first round. And if you feel like you need more time, there is potential for every single zodiacal month to retest. So you'll have the questions. The questions are not expected to change. It's possible we may change the test, but we don't have any plans for that. So if there's a lot of feedback on something, maybe we'll change it to improve the program. But essentially, we're trying to come up with a test that is, or we built the test, but we hope that the test is easy, but also challenging, but in a way that you can still look things up and that you feel like you're confident in the answers. I think that you'll all be able to do it if you have a basic understanding. I really do. And I'm glad that you enjoyed the lives before. If you've seen my lives, they definitely will prep you for the test. And if you haven't seen my lives, there's plenty of other resources out there that can inform you in that as well. So Brandy asks, is reading like doing someone else's chart? Yes, it's going to be reading your partner's chart. So on the test, you'll be reading your own chart. That's the know thyself. And then on the partnership, you'll have your partner's birth information. So that's something that you'll need to agree to share, is sharing your birthday, your time of birth, and location, so that your partner can pull a chart and then do a reading on that chart. And that reading is going to be based off of the question or the prompt that we have. I hope that is making sense. Thank you, Angel. Yeah, it's not going to be that hard. Don't stress about it. If you have no idea about anything astrology, it might be hard, but I am confident if you wanted to, you could pass. If you wanted to look up what those questions mean and how to read that, you would definitely be able to pass. So M mentioned, do you or anyone have a good resource to look up our charts accurately? And Angel, yeah, astro.com is the one that I use. It's very reliable. There are others out there, but I do find Astro to be one of the best, if not the best. I can't really speak to or recommend others because I've not personally used them, but Astro is kind of the OG. It's been around since I was in high school. It works well, it's accurate. I've never had an issue with them. So it works great, but you're not limited to that. So if you have another tool that you're like, this is my tool, I love it, or you have your own software if you're really advanced, whatever you want to do, but astro.com is the one we'll recommend for this program. Rachel McShane, sorry, to read your last name, just automatic. Rachel asked, how advanced will it be? Like, will we need to know about things like transits and things like that, or will it be more straightforward? Let me pull up the questions, because I do believe you would need to know about transits. So we're not specifically asking about transits, but you should have an understanding of some of these things. And again, you don't need to know, it's not like you need to know every single thing there is about transits. It might ask what are some transits in your chart? Can you name some? So that would be, it's not actually a question, but that's kind of a question that we would have. So talk about some transits in your chart. So as long as you can speak to some, then you would essentially know how they work, at least on a couple things in your chart. Sorry, this cat, she's the way she is. And M is going to go back into the past lives, so that's great. I don't know if I can see every single question because I see a reply, but I don't see the original question. So typical Facebook, right? But somebody, it looks like, mentioned, it says, Brandy replied to Jennifer, what chart are you referring to? And then birth chart. Yeah, so we're using birth charts and natal charts. So you would have to pull your own chart to know yourself, and then to do a partnership reading, you would, sorry, I'm so sorry, she's distracting me, and I'm sure it is miserable for all of you. Yeah, essentially you have to be able to pull a chart based off of birth time and information. So it's straightforward. It is a web form. You type in the birthday, you type in the time, you type in the location, and that will automatically create a natal chart or a birth chart. It's the same thing. And you would read that, and that's how you do a reading. So those are kind of the basics of astrology. This isn't just like, what is my sun sign? That is too basic for this program. You have to be able to start reading a chart. And you definitely do not need to be an expert. I am no expert. I only know how to do certain things. There is a world of information out there that I don't know, but I feel confident to do a reading, right? So I feel like I'm in the intermediary, and I'm trying to share that because even with that, there's tons of stuff on the chart that I have no idea what it means or how to work with it. And that is completely fine. So as long as you're able to kind of start putting a few things together on the chart, you will be able to do a reading. Each month, we're going to be focusing on one thing. So that is going to help you learn about doing that aspect of a reading while you know what some of the basics are. So you definitely need to know, you know, what a house is, like what planets are, like how to see a planet in the chart. Understanding at least that transits exist and what are positive and negative. Some basic stuff like that, because that will help you be able to answer questions that we have for the prompts later on. Sorry, there's a lot of questions, so I'm going through them. Jennifer says that she needs to do a lot of research and she can't figure that chart out for the life of me. I keep trying, but nothing makes sense. It's hard for me to speak to that question or statement because I'm not sure like what you mean exactly, but yeah, it does take research. Astrology is not easy, but this program is to help you. So it's kind of like you need to be at level 102. So you've kind of gone through level 101. You sort of have like a basic understanding. You know what some of these terms mean. And this program is for at the beginning of learning how to do readings. If you are more advanced, great. We'd love to have you still. We definitely want people who are advanced to be able to help and, you know, learn with their partners as well. But if you are just at the point of like, I kind of get maybe 25 to 30% of the things and I'm starting to put it together on the chart, you will be great in this program. So Angel mentioned to start with your big 3 and then your big 6 and then going from there. That is great advice. That's perfect advice. All right, so Brandy mentioned she took a class on that, but it's been a long time. Yeah, it's hard to recall these things. And again, you're not expected to memorize it. And oftentimes working with it and looking at it for other people, doing the readings, these are things that help you with the process, right? Just like tarot or any other type of divination or really anything within our practice. If we are not working with it regularly, then we just sort of forget. So this program is to help you regularly work with it and start looking at other people's charts and to provide readings. So M asked, are we speaking of the circular chart or the one that lists everything out? So both are a chart. So if you go to like astro.com, you'll have the circular chart in the middle, and then you'll have a grid on the left. It looks like a little Excel sheet. And then the list, you know, kind of goes from there. But really you should be working with like what astro.com is putting out. So you as a reader can cross-reference the circle chart and the little Excel sheet in the bottom left typically is, you know, how Astro does it. So you should be able to kind of work with both. Now, if you want to create a list or you want to use another tool to create a list to help you, that is completely fine. Use whatever resources work for you, but the goal is going to be to be able to kind of look at a chart, like a more traditional chart to do that. But absolutely you can use that. And if you're not to the point of really understanding the circular natal chart, that's fine. But you want to be starting to pick up some basic pieces in that so that you can work towards that. I hope that makes sense. And Brandy, your cat came. I'm not surprised. She she really likes to talk, so that's funny. And Angel mentioned the circular one. Thank you for that. And yeah, so yeah, you can kind of look at that. Just if you want to put your own chart inside of astro.com, you'll be able to see that, or just do a Google search on a natal chart. You'll be able to see sample ones, or you can put like a celebrity or something in there, and they'll normally pop up for well-known people. Yes, and Angel, thank you. Everything is in the past lives. And again, it's not like you need to know everything about astrology. You just have to start to see things in a chart, start to connect the dots. And if you're there, you will be good on this program. Okay, let me try to scroll down. Angel, thank you. Yeah, and I know you personally shared too that you were like brushing up on stuff yourself, and I really appreciate your comment in here that when you did your application chart, she had so much fun doing it, and it shouldn't be stressful. And yeah, I agree. There may be things that you need to look up. There may be things that you need to, watch a YouTube video on or do a Google search on. But again, you have a month to do this, and I think it's 10 questions. And probably like a couple things to like agree and the secret word and stuff, so a little bit more than 10, but essentially 10 test questions. You can do this. I absolutely believe that you can do this, and if you are not sure, just give it a try and go from there. Jenny said she always wanted to do birth chart readings, and I'm glad to have your comment, because I know a lot of people want to learn how, and it's hard to be able to practice without being like, how do I do this, a full chart reading? Like, that's very intimidating. But these are going to be short assignments, like, again, kind of a 15-minute read if you were speaking it out or typing it, what you see within that. So this is the perfect place. It's a safe place. We know each other. It is to learn, practice, and grow, and just dive in and give it a try. So definitely encourage you to do it. Ronette asked, what if you pass the test but mess up on the reading? That's a great question. I don't think that you can mess up on the reading. We are practicing, we are trying it out. Someone may or may not resonate with your reading, but there's no pass or fail on the reading itself. Just on the test. So essentially, if you can answer the question, you'll pass the test. If you can answer the question with some validity to it, it's like not like, I don't know, like that obviously wouldn't be an answer that passes. But if you put some thought and something into that question, you will pass. And the reading, again, you cannot really fail the reading as long as you provide a reading to your partner. Your partner can provide feedback and talk about how they resonate or don't resonate, or even give tips if that's something that they feel, but you can't mess it up as long as you try. And Angel and I will both be here to help. We'll have a group chat where we can ask questions and things too, but I don't want anyone to feel like they're going to fail on the reading as long as you complete a reading. If you ghost your partner or something, that's a different story. But as long as you do that, you'll be fine. Okay, so Rachel mentioned a suggestion for folks is an app called Chani. And I love Chani. I think she is a great reader, and I can't remember if it's Chani or Chani. I have read her books. She has a great YouTube, and her app is great as well. I've used it years ago. I believe it is a paid app, so just something to know. But yeah, there's a lot of good apps out there. Yeah, there's also a lot of AI out there too. So that would be another kind of caveat in this program. I have some more things to talk about with the program, but you cannot provide your partner an AI reading. So you wouldn't be like, here's this person, copy and paste an AI reading, totally unacceptable. You can use AI as a resource. If you're like, hey, tell me about, what this means or something like that's fine. But the reading itself that you provide should be your own words, not like copied and pasted out of Google. I hope that is like obvious, but I just want to put that out there that that would not be okay. And Angel dropped, what is everyone's big three? So I love that question. I won't read through them all, but try to get caught up on these chats. Yes, Winnie is encouraging everyone to be brave and take the leap. She is. That is her motto right now. So she is telling us. Great. I love seeing everybody's big three. So if you can do that, let me see. That is one of your test questions. So you would have passed that question. So if you can do that, you're going to be good. If you can't do your big three, then that's a good place to start and then see how that feels. And if you can calculate those things, you can find that information, you can probably find the rest. So that would be a good leader question for you. I'm glad people are excited. And Brandy mentioned that she randomly found a class that was meant to gear her up for this, and it randomly popped up. So yeah, that could be completely meant to be. Definitely like any astrology class locally or online would be a great prep for this. Really, would bring you to the next level for sure. And yeah, it's not required to do anything like that, but that would, I'm sure, put you in a really good place for this. Hi, Erica, welcome. I'm probably pretty behind on the chat, so I'm trying to get through them pretty quickly. Yes, and Angel is mentioning, so yeah, first step is your big three, and then after that, the big six, or also what's called your personal planets. The ones after that are more generational. So we often, if you're born within a few years of somebody, your generation will all have the same planets in those signs. But the big six are your personal planets. Those change, daily or so. So those are all going to be more unique to you. So it's like your personal planet. So that's a good thing to look into if you've not heard of that. Rachel, thank you. I appreciate that. I know people are going to be nervous about this test, and it is a big leap. It is hard, and I thought about like, do we want to test or not? But we have to have it. There's just no way to have somebody be able to give any basic of a reading to somebody without having something like this. But again, I am confident that you can do it. You may have to look some things up and all that, but I am confident you and everybody here can do it, even if not this month, in a future month for sure. Thank you, Angel, for also encouraging that. I can try to get some voice recordings of Winnie and share them with everybody to help cheerlead them on too. Jenny, you have such a beautiful comment here saying that my self-esteem has always been low, but thanks to Witches Owl Exchange and Unseen, it's helping bring my confidence back. I am so glad, and that is such a beautiful comment. And yes, this is here to build your confidence. Like, you are not expected to give a perfect reading by any means. This is here to learn your own chart, know yourself, explore yourself, and then be able to help other people explore their own chart, giving your own insights and things for that, and practice reading so that if you ever do want to learn to do full readings, this would be like a good building block for that. All right. Yes, and good point. If you do use AI and as a tool, right? So not to do the actual read, but as a tool, double check the information because it is known to be wrong often. It absolutely is. I have had people give me AI readings in the past, and I'm like, those are not my signs. Like, that's wrong, completely wrong. The information is sound, but it couldn't even copy and paste the signs correctly. So yes, it's wrong. I mean, AI hallucinates 40% of the time. So it's pretty high on the wrong. So definitely, yeah, use it as a tool or not. You can use whatever tools you want, but double check the AI for sure. And just don't provide an entire AI reading to someone. Yes, Rachel is echoing that. It is wrong quite a lot. All right. Okay, I think I'm finally getting to the end. So, Em mentioned that she used to be really intimidated to interact with all the ways to connect to each other through Whoa, I found such comfort in growing with everybody. Yes. And Ronette, I am so glad that you're going to do this. I know you can do this. I know all of you can do this. So, yeah. All right, so let me kind of go back through, and I'll check the comments again. So if any questions pop up, definitely put them in there. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about the partnership and some of the ways it's going to differ from the tarot program. So you will get paired with somebody with every zodiacal season change. So it's pretty fast paced. It's basically every month around the 20th of the month where we will be switching partners. So that gives us 4 weeks to essentially like sign up, match, do your read, provide feedback, and then move into the next one. I do really want to keep it at that 1 month because I think working within the zodiacal season or the sign is really gonna help us work with those signs and embrace those energies. And then as you're working with it in the partnership, you're just naturally going to be thinking about that sign, and you can push it out for the rest of your magic for that month. So once you pass the test, you will be put in a group chat for the partnership program. So we'll just kind of keep everything in the group chat at the beginning of each sign. And again, season, it's going to be every month is a season, not like 4 months, right? So within that next season, so if you pass the test, you'll be put in and we'll say, do you want to sign up for Taurus? You're just going to hit a poll, yes or no. And then we'll give the prompt. We'll probably do it at the same time. Here's the prompt. Do you want to sign up? Yes or no? Everybody who's a yes will get matched with a partner. And then you will work with that partner in private chats, provide the reading, provide feedback. And then you'll have a deadline a few days before the next season. So Gemini will be coming up. And you can choose to stay in or stay out, and you don't have to exit and enter the group chat. So there won't be a removal every month and bring everyone back in. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to be busy during Gemini season, you just say no. You can stay in the group chat. You can manage your comments if you want. And that's just kind of how it is. You can turn the comments off, mute the chat. You can do all that on your own. And then if you want to come back for the season after for Cancer, you can just be like, okay, I'm ready. I needed a month off. That's fine. So there's not going to be any like sign up and exiting and all that through each one because it's moving pretty fast. And it's just too much work. This is kind of the basics of it. So we'll just keep everyone in the same group chat if you pass the test. Now, if you want to leave the program, like that's fine. You're not held hostage. Just let us know, like, hey, this program is not working for me, or I don't have time. Or maybe if you're like, I need 6 months of a break or something, then you can exit, things like that. So you won't need to retest if you've already passed the test. So that's something to know is like, if you just wanted to come back in 6 months and you've already taken the test and passed, you can do that. So it's pretty much up to you, like how much you want to stay in or out, and we'll just manage that in the group chat. Yeah, so the private messaging for each other, again, you're going to have to consent on the form that you're open and you're fine with giving out your birthday, including the year, the time, the location of your birth. You just need to do that to be able to do astrology readings. You'll do that privately with your partner. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you just can't really do an astrology reading. So it's just kind of part of the nature of this program. The goal of this program is really for you to learn how to do readings and develop your own astrological flavor and style, like as a reader. Like you have your own way, you interpret things. You will naturally put more weight on certain things in astrology versus others. Like some people really love to work with asteroids. That's probably not going to be in this program, or at least not anywhere in the near future. But some people really like to pull that into reads. Others don't know anything about it. That doesn't really matter. So it's up to you how you want to be an astrologer. Like, do you want to focus on elements within your chart reading? Do you want to focus on transits? Do you want to focus on houses? So you can develop these things as a reader, where your strong suits are. There's a lot to astrology. So there's things you will naturally gravitate to and things that you're naturally going to want to talk about within a chart. So that's for you to develop. And with time, you will definitely start to develop these things, and you'll start developing your personality and your expertise as a reader. As someone being read to, even though you've already read your own chart, other people see different things because they have their own style, their own flavor. They may bring things up that you've never noticed about your chart, and they may bring up things that you don't agree with, and that's fine. But just like the Tarot Partnership Program, they've gone over lots of ways to receive feedback and give feedback, in ways that are kind. It's kind of self-explanatory, but obviously you might hear things about yourself that you don't like. And that's part of this. Half of the things in astrology are positive and half of the things are negative. So it's kind of a given that half of the things in your chart will be negative and half of the things will be positive. So your flaws and things like that are going to be naturally talked about in this program because all of our charts say, hey, here's your problem areas and here's your strengths. So again, you need to be open to hearing these kinds of things, and people will phrase it differently. So yeah, you want to be ready for that. And at the same time, if you are the one, giving the reading, thinking about, you don't need to dance around stuff. Like if you're like, hey, your chart shows that you can be pretty aggressive in this kind of situation, like you can say that. What you wouldn't say is like, hey, this in your chart makes you a bad person or something, right? We're not going to say that stuff. But of course, you're going to point out these negatives. So I want to touch on that. I think, even without the astrology, like this is a great way to develop communication skills as well, and being able to use the chart to like talk about that as well as a reader. So if you wanted to be like a tarot reader or something and just learning about astrology, this is again like a cool program to have under your belt to practice some of these things. We will have like a feedback form, and that will be pretty similar to the tarot program. So just kind of, just to keep everyone honest, like, did your partner provide a read? Did you give feedback? Like, what's working well? What isn't? What did you learn? We'll use messenger chat polls within the group. Like, did you complete your read? Did you provide feedback? Pretty similar to the tarot program. So that stuff works really well. It gives people reminders. It kind of creates that accountability. And yeah, it'll be pretty straightforward. If you want to skip a season or you want to skip a few seasons because you're going to be traveling or you're busy, that's totally fine. You don't have to participate every month. We'd love you to, but we understand, life gets busy and it's okay to skip seasons. So each time, we'll have a poll, like, do you want to participate? Do you want to sit this one out? And if you want to sit out, you just stay in the group chat. If the chat is too busy for you, just mute the chat. And when you're ready to come back, just come back and put the chat back on. So those are your Facebook settings. You navigate what works for you. And if you don't want to do the reading, but you want to participate in the chat, that's totally fine too. So it's very low key. For lives, Angel and I will be switching back off on the lives. And this live's a little longer because I'm kind of going through all the info, answering the questions, but the lives will be pretty short. So we'll just kind of talk about the topic for new people, talking about the basics of the program, how to fill out the form. So we'll just kind of go through those basics essentially every month between the zodiacal season. And just kind of introduce the topic. It's not like a full requirement to watch those lives for each one, but it'd be a good idea just to at least pay attention to like what the topic is. And we're going to try to keep those lives really short, like under 30 minutes, so that it's not like a big live to watch for the program. So just a quick overview and, what the topic is. So if you're in the group chat, you're good, but just maybe peek out the live for the info. Again, this one's really long because it's a lot of questions, so I want to make sure that you guys all have a good understanding. And of course, in those lives, if we're getting a lot of feedback, then we'll do our best to make changes. This is new for me and Angel, and we don't know what we don't know. So as we go through things, we might get feedback about different stuff. We might change it, but we're always going to try to make program improvements based off of feedback. Yeah, that's all that I have. Again, make sure you have the secret word, and if you don't, so you want to go back and watch that. We went through the form. That's going to post later today or tomorrow. And you'll have until April 10th to complete that test, so plenty of time. And again, it's open book test. We'll probably let you know if you pass, like before. I'm not going to just micromanage it and look at it every day, but Angel and I will probably pop in there a few times. So if you completed it like this week or something, we probably let you know sooner. We wouldn't wait until the deadline, just like, hey, you passed. So yeah, you'll know relatively quickly if you passed or not. If you submitted on the 10th, that's fine. We might just, depending on all of our schedules, we might just need a few days to look at it. And then we'll also be creating the group chats and all that. So that gives us time to get that going. So hopefully that's clear. I'm going to go through the questions, but that's really all of the info. So if you feel clear, no need to stay on or keep watching. But if you want to, of course, you're welcome. And I will get through the other questions that have come through. Let me go back because sometimes it doesn't load. Okay, here we go. For some reason, I don't think it's letting me scroll up to see all of the, okay, here we go. Facebook is not wanting to work well for me today. I gotta scroll through all these. I'm so sorry. And if I miss a question, you can tag me in it. I'll try to go through and type them out as well for people for the future. Trying to remember where I left off. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get through these. Erica mentions that she wants to, but her plate is so full at the moment and she can't wait to have the reading done and excited for this to be back to begin. So that's completely fine. I understand. So if you don't want to take part for the first season, you can basically take the Know Thy Form test anytime in the future, and then you'll just be added into the next season. Or if you want to, take the test now and say like, hey, I don't want to start for a while, that's fine. Or if you want to be put in the group chat now and then you just sign up later, like that's fine. So it's pretty flexible. Essentially just have to pass the test, and then at that point you can jump in and out however you want. I guess we didn't create this, but we'll probably do some type of like 3-strike policy or something, and that would be for ghosting reads. Like I can't imagine too many issues, but yeah, if you just like completely ghost your partner, you're unresponsive, like obviously there's going to be consequences for that. But if you're just trying, even if you're like, I am really struggling with this topic, but I am trying my best, like that is fine. No pressure. You just have to do your best. That's it. Jennifer is really excited. I'm so glad to hear that. And Ronette says, will it change as we advance through the months? Yes, the topic will change with each zodiacal sign through the month, and it will be at least somewhat loosely related to that sign. Maybe not 100%, but we'll try our best to kind of link things to something about that sign. So even this month, the form, this is about studying and prepping and getting that test in. So Aries is I am, it's the self, and it's know thyself. So that's the theme for that. We'll have a prompt that you do the reading on, something related to Taurus, and then something related to Gemini, Cancer, and so on and so Jenny mentions that what if you don't know the time of your birth? So that is a great question. So you can't pull a chart without a time of birth. I am not entirely sure. I think Angel and I are going to have to chat about this one, but the first thing is if you don't know, try to get it. It should be on your birth certificate. Um, you should be able to request a birth certificate if you don't have that. Now, there are some people that maybe had a closed birth kind of thing, or they can't access these things. I I don't really know what to do, is my short answer. I don't want to exclude people, but I don't know how to do this. So I'll have to chat with Angel because I don't know how I would give a read to somebody without that. So yeah, you're gonna have to put some thought into that. Perhaps you could pick a time, and that would be the time that you say is going to be your birth time, because that may or may not actually be reality. I don't think that's on the reader to determine, but maybe you could pick that, whatever feels right for you. Or perhaps there's other things I don't know. So I'm going to try to do a little research on that, talk with Angel. But for now, you do need to know your birth time. So if you can get that, work on getting that. If you know that's something that you won't be able to get because you're adopted in closed adoption or something along those lines, we'll have to figure it out. So I'm not sure yet, is the short answer. Angie mentioned that she has her own flavor and style. I love that. And we all do, even if we haven't seen it yet, it will come out, I promise. So Jenny mentioned that her parents won't let her see her original birth certificate. If you are an adult in the US, you should be able to request it through the government on your own. It's probably state by state, but yeah, I would assume that you can get it because if you are not under 18, you should have the rights over that to request an additional copy. So that's my best advice on that. Brandy mentioned that she has some things to work on. Yes, and I will be posting the form soon, so you'll have the questions. You have plenty of time to research those questions. So you'll be able to do it. I know you will. M asked, is there a way to get a form or structure for personal feedback as well? I am not sure I understand your question. If you're asking about like how to give feedback on your read, I think I can try to, maybe put together like some points of things to talk about, but essentially you would want to say like, thanks for my reading, like these are the things I learned, or these are the things that really resonated with me, like I loved these aspects. And you could also say like, I didn't understand this, or I wasn't sure how you got this. But really, like the point of the reading, the point of this partnership is to learn how to give readings. So if your partner gives you a reading you don't like, I mean, you didn't pay for this reading. Nobody really in here is a professional astrologer, or maybe they are, but the goal is not to buy a paid professional astrology read. So I think even if you think your reading is not good, like you can provide some feedback, but you should still be very gracious and like happy you get a read, because we're trying to build each other up. Now you can provide feedback like, hey, this is a suggestion for you. Like, have you tried doing this? But we don't want to tear like anybody's read down. Angel mentions this is a fun experience. Goal is to give you new tools. Yes, absolutely. And it's hard. It's hard to do readings. So definitely, it's practice. It's for us to learn and to get some confidence doing that for sure. So I am really looking forward to this too, and I'm super excited, and thank you all for your comments about that. This is going to be a lot of fun. It will be a challenge for sure, especially if this is new, but this should be a very supportive environment, a very supportive group of people, and it's okay to make mistakes. Again, there's no like really right or wrong way to provide the reading as long as you're working with the basic info, and we'll be here to support you, to help you do all these things. you've got the tools, you keep developing your own tools, and you will be set up for success, I promise. All right, so I don't see any new questions, but if any questions pop up, just drop them in the chat and Angel and I will get back to you. We'll work on getting the form up later today or tomorrow. I have a few things I need to kind of move around through my day, so as I have time, I'll get it together and up, and you'll have plenty of time again to get your answers to those questions. I know you can do it, even if it's stuff you have to look up. So you'll be fine, I promise. All right, so thank you again for joining on the live, and for those on the replay, again, feel free to ask any questions you have. Definitely read through the comments. There's a lot of good content, questions, and answers in there too. And I look forward to having you in the program. Bye.